morning, Cam.
Hail and well met, fellow traveler.
Cheerio. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm a dork that thinks things. Anyway, good morning.
Good morning.
How's it been since the last time we talked?
It's been life is,
Life is life.
Yeah. And, when things were cruising and going really well, I was like, I'm going to enjoy it because I know that something's going to happen, at some point. That sounds very dramatic, but like life was really good for like a really good chunk of months there. Mm-hmm. And then I got laid off at Easter and I still don't have work. So I was like, I was trying to tell myself, enjoy life while everything is peachy. Because those are always good seasons, right? Yeah. And now I'm in the point where I'm just kind of getting by. So, yeah.
Well, we'll get there. That's the way things go.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was mentioned off the air that I really have been enjoying Captain Crunch lately. Something that I enjoyed when I was a kid. Do you have a breakfast cereal that you're really into?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, Captain Crunch, and it's not Captain Crunch that I'm really into right now. It's actually the Aldi generic, which has no artificial colors or flavors in it. So it's like actually like real stuff, and it tastes really good. I think it tastes better. I think it tastes better than the Captain Crunch.
What's it called?
I wish I would have brought the box up with me. It's like Kids Crunch something or whatever, but it's Captain Crunch with crunch berries. So,
but, the Admiral Eyes.
hey. But I've been enjoying that quite a bit. So, So we have stuff to talk about today. One thing we should mention before we get going here is, yes, it has been nearly a month since the last time we recorded. And yes, it didn't get posted right away because I forgot to hit a button. So hopefully you guys enjoyed our WWDC edition of the show, our 100th episode. It was good. If you haven't yet, it is in the feed right now. So check it out. But we are meeting up almost a month after we recorded that, because the last time we were set to record, things kind of blew up and we weren't able to get together on anything. So I had a meeting at church. I had basically the busiest day I've had in a while for an off day. And Cam had some limitations on the day, and it just didn't work out for us. But it's all right, because we're here today, and I think we're going to be running into some situations like that going forward. So we will we'll get these shows out as much as we can, and if we can't, we can't. So we'll do what we can. Just keep an eye on the feed. It'll be a nice surprise when we get a new show out. So, all right. Well, let's go ahead and get into our first topic. We both downloaded some betas, and we are toying with talking about Apple Intelligence today as well. And I we'll see where we get to, but let's go ahead and fire this off first. All right. So you have one beta and I have two betas loaded up right now. Where do you just want to start with iPadOS, since we both have iPadOS downloaded?
Sure.
And I didn't bring my iPad up to the studio with me, so I'll have to go off of memory. But as far as features that we were excited to try out, how are you feeling about them now?
Well, I still think the dark mode icons are great. Like, and it's not anything terribly, clever or a new, technology. It's just, it adds a freshness to the design that we're so used to, right? So it's just a nice little touch to see. And I'm excited to see not just Apple icons and what their dark modes look like. And it says here on the Mac Rumors, everything new in iOS Beta 3 page, that dark mode icons are now a lot more third-party apps have them already in beta 3 for the developer beta, which turns out I am not on yet. So that's going to happen soon.
You said
like, really?
developer beta 3?
What? Yeah, came out yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't updated to that either.
But I mean, it's just a nice little feature. Like I said, it's not gonna, blow anyone's minds, but the fact that it's an option is cool.
Yeah,
what's a feature that you've been either enjoying or hating?
To be honest with you, I'm trying to get to a page where it tells me what the new features are. So the trouble with being on the developer beta is that there aren't a lot of people to do some of the stuff with, like the new stuff in messages with the rich text and the new text features that they have, like the text effects. There's not a lot of people out there to do that stuff with. Like, I could send you something, but if you're not looking at it on your iPhone, you're not going to see it. So you'd have to look at your iPad. I'm looking for that Mac Stories article is what I'm looking for.
No, it was on Mac Rumors.
Oh, sorry. Mac Rumors? I'm sorry. Mac Rumors.
Yeah.
Thought you said it was Mac Stories.
My bad.
Mac Rumor. I'm sorry. Mac Stories is kind of distracted by their controversy about,
yes,
about Apple Intelligence and the scraping of the web, which we'll talk about in a little bit. I think I've had a similar reaction to most people when it comes to like the app icons, the customization that's available. Like you had mentioned, I think the like all the Apple apps that have been upgraded for dark mode, which I think is pretty much all of them. I haven't noticed anything that hasn't been, but I like that. Safari and messages. I think there's a few others that I really like. One thing that was kind of a side effect of this that I really dig is the widget for music. Used to be like this awful pink color, and I just endured it because it was what it was. In dark mode, it's actually a black or like a very dark gray background with the logo in pink. And I think that looks much nicer. I think I would stay on dark mode just for that. So.
Yeah, that pink is that pinkish gradient. Yeah, is not quiet.
I think the word that we use on the show is opinionated.
Yeah.
But I think I've had the universal same reaction as most people when it comes to the tinting. I haven't really liked that yet. I'm hoping that most of the apps that I use decide to do something with the dark mode so that the tinting looks nicer. But at this point in time, if you're just taking a widget or an app icon that doesn't have, just a symbol on black, it looks goofy because it's tinting all the colors too. So let's say like the Apple TV widget. So you have your little thumbnails of the shows in that widget. Well, when you tint it, it tints those as well. So you get like real funky colors and stuff like that because it basically lays the tint over the top of it. So you don't necessarily just get the tinted color. You get like some weird colors with that, and it just looks goofy. That's something that I hope they address during the beta cycle here. But because I think it would be better if those thumbnails just looked like the image that is there instead of trying to tint that too. I have had the same issue with like even Carrot Weather's widgets. Is like they're not tinting; they tint weird because they're just laying a tint over the top of it, and it doesn't always look right. So,
yeah, that's a little frustrating.
Yeah, but again, we're in developer betas. The public beta is not even out yet. So,
correct.
Yeah.
And if Apple is in similar step with iOS 17 and iOS 16, the public beta should drop later this week. It's not a guarantee that that's the case because obviously, this is new and they will release it when it's ready. But the last two iOS first public betas dropped this week of July in 2023 and 2022. So we may be getting close. And then the fun shall begin when third-party apps start putting out their iOS 18 betas for people to try out. And I'm not sure if I'm going to really run down that trail or not and try and get as many betas as I can on my iPad or not, because I don't really know if it's going to be worth it. But
yeah,
there is a certain bit of nerdy prestige, I guess, that I feel when I get into I'm on the iOS, 18 beta for things, or what, if I could, right? But there's a certain badge of nerdy honor that I feel by getting to do some of that stuff. In the rare, it's only happened a few times where I've been able to do that with apps that I actually use. It's easier to get into betas of apps that I don't use because they're small indie people and they're more willing to. There's less people that want to beta test their app as opposed to some of the more, like Things or, Fantastical or stuff that everyone uses, right? There's a bajillion people that are eager to help with that. So I don't know. But yeah, like I said, there is that certain badge of nerd honor that compels me to want to at least try a couple of them out.
Yeah, and if some betas open up, I might be tempted to do that too. So I'll keep an eye out for that. The control center customization, I've gone through and customized some things, and I actually kind of dig that now on the home screen of my phone, I now have. It didn't stay active here. I now have Shazam in my lower. It's not. Yeah. Anyway, so instead of the camera shortcut on the lock screen, I have Shazam in the lower right-hand corner. So, and I only did that because I could see myself using that at work when we've got music playing overhead. It's like, ooh, who sings that song? And I could just hit that button instead of pulling up and asking for Shlomo to tell me what. Who sings this song. So, and then I still have my camera in the action button. So
nice.
So yes, I still have a way to get to it quickly, but that's been a cool feature. The fact that there are multiple pages in Control Center has been nice. Be able to flip through those pages and get to the different things that I want to get to. I haven't had a lot of need to dig into those pages too deeply, but I have gone in and done some customization and played around with it a little bit. And it is pretty nice that you can resize a lot of them, so you can do different sizes of the different, I don't know if you want to call them widgets or app icons or what do you want to call them, but being able to go in and resize those. There's a bunch of them that are available to use that I don't think I've ever seen before. There's a text resizing option, which I'm not planning on using, but I thought that was interesting that they had that included in some of the new icon or new widgets that you can put into Control Center. So if you find yourself changing the size of the text quite often, you can put that right in Control Center. And there's quite a few others, a lot of accessibility stuff in there and things like that. So, yeah, it's they've definitely made Control Center much more useful,
which is great, right? It's more customization in an area that previously had none. So you combine the ability, like you said, to swap out the two actions on the lock screen, which have been camera and flashlight since they've existed. And then further on into the Control Center slide down it's just, again, it's not mind blowing, but it's an intelligent step forward to improve user experience and to allow people to tweak their setup to what they want it to be and what they use the most. And I'm all for that.
There's a truck outside my window. I don't know if you're hearing that.
Oh, the beeped.
Yeah.
Very faintly.
There was a bunch of like a brrr that was coming through my microphone. I could hear it. I don't know if it was coming over Zoom.
No, but I can only hear just the occasional backup beep.
They're picking up brush. This week's brush pickup week. So if you put brush out on your curb, they're picking it up. There must have been a bunch of it over at the church across the street. So anyway, Messages has got some interesting features. You know, the one thing I haven't tried yet is scheduling a text message. So I'm kind of curious about this. You're able to, let's see, I'm going to pull you up here and see if there's how easy it is to schedule a text message. Yeah, here, send later. So I'm going to send this to you. It is 5 minutes to noon. So I'm going to send this to you at 5 minutes to noon and say, hey, Cam, it's noon. We'll set that up. And it is interesting that it comes up in like blue text with a kind of a dash around it bubble. Mm-hmm. So I'll put that right in front of me and watch it send. So interesting. So that's kind of a cool feature. Like I said, haven't gotten an opportunity to use that a whole lot yet, but it'll be fun to maybe in unique situations it might come in quite handy. So they did change the tap backs in Messages. So have you seen the tap backs yet?
Yeah, they're like fun colors now.
Yeah, they're all in color now. So that's fun. And then you can also get into your emojis and use the emojis in that and in tapbacks.
I can't wait to start putting the smiley poo on people's text messages to me just because.
Yeah.
For no reason other than I just want them to be like, what? Yeah. I just asked how you were doing.
Mm-hmm. There is RCS support, which I've seen pop up. So that's like being able to work with Android phones a little bit more seamlessly in Messages. And I've seen that pop up on, it's if I'm connected to somebody that's a green bubble, it actually says in the message thing before you type SMS or RCS that it's going to use to send it. I have not seen if it's preserving any of the fun stuff that you want to do with it, like the thumbs up and the like your tap backs and stuff like that. I haven't seen if that works with Android or what features are actually compatible with Android through RCS. So
my sister's getting married this weekend, so I'm guaranteed I'll find at least one person there that has an Android phone, and I might.
Yeah.
If I know them, I might be like, hey, can we try something out here?
Yeah, see if it works. I don't have much to say about Mail. There's some updated features in Mail. I don't use the Mail app. I do like the Photos app and some of the changes that they've made. It's more like a one pager instead of having multiple places to go to look at your photos. So I think that's a little bit nicer.
Yeah, I know I kind of last episode gave them grief about it's the biggest redesign in, but like actually using it, it's like, oh yeah, this is a lot different. Yeah. Because like mainly well, you can listen to last episode. I don't need to rehash my argument. Mm-hmm. But especially on the iPad, the grid of photos only takes up half of the screen. And then, so it's unlike the iPhone where it takes up, I think, like 2/3 before you start seeing. Mm-hmm. But it's like on the iPad too, like you get like, I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like just so many different either like, oh, here's my trips category or featured photos, or this is memories, and this is my pin collection. This is all the people and pets that it's decided are important to my life. And then, you know, collections of recent days. And a lot of it's just me and my daughter going out and about and exploring, you know, Chicago and all that sort of stuff. And so to me, it's like, actually using it. Yeah. 100% biggest redesign, and really, really helpful because it surfaces so many, memories and trips and people. Yeah, really, really, really digging it.
Yeah. And I think if I were to, like, the thing that keeps hitting my mind is it's a shallower app. Like, if that makes sense. That it's not one thing behind another thing behind another thing, or there's a lot of depth to it. It's actually, you know, relatively shallow. So you can get to stuff without having to dig through the app a lot. So, and guess what, Cam? It's noon. Did you get the text message?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. It just sent. So
it just shut up.
All right. Perfect.
Hey, Cam, it's noon.
So,
yes, yes, it is.
And that is one feature that we can use without you needing to be on the beta, because it's just sending a text message.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of use cases for that feature, and I'm struggling to think of some.
I can see using it on my wife, because my wife will a lot of times tell me, hey, can you remind me such and such at such and such a time? And I'll be like, okay. And then I could just set a text message to remind her. That is if she sees it on her phone or whatever. But yeah, apparently reminders doesn't work for her so well.
Interesting.
I'm her reminders. So Passwords has its own app now. I don't know. I haven't opened the app itself, but I've been using it a lot. You know, it just shows up a little bit differently in the in Safari and wherever else you need it. But I think it's been working really well.
Yeah, I like the fact that I can just have it on my home screen and just get in right there. It's convenient.
You can record phone calls now. Wallet's got some new features, tap to cash. So if you want to give somebody some cash, you can just tap your phones together and send them cash. Maps has got, I'm just actually going through and rediscovering some of the stuff that's in here. So there's trail maps and maps now. Looks like Journal's got some updates. The Apple TV app. So Apple TV's got that new feature. Insights it's called, and right in the remote app, you can see your insights. I don't know that I'm actually going to be able to update because I've got an old Apple TV HD before the 4K ones came out.
Gotcha.
So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to update that one or not.
You know what feature I'm actually quite looking forward to, and is not, as far as I can tell, is not out yet, is the live audio transcription and notes. Mainly for church purposes, because like right now I use Otter, and that has a 30-minute time limit if you're on like the free plan, and it's whatever. But this would actually get me to use the Notes app. I don't ever use it because all my tech stuff is done in Obsidian, but the ability for live audio transcription, and then I can just go into Notes and pull out the sections I want and add them into my Obsidian library, would be very nice. Unless, of course, there's an audio transcription plugin for Obsidian that I'm unaware of, which has to exist, right? But as far as I can tell, it's not in the developer beta yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Did they demo this during the keynote?
They just talked about it.
So I'm not sure how it works.
So it's on the Apple website, it says record audio sessions within your note and generate live audio transcription. You can search through or combine with other comments, checklists, or documents.
I wonder if you have to do that in the voice memos app.
No, it's in notes. Like if you go to the notes section of the iPad OS preview, the first thing is handwriting with Smart Script, and then the second thing is live audio transcription.
Yeah, I see it listed there. I'm not sure what the how to do it though.
Well, so you see the top right corner, that the quotes tag with like the yellow background on it. That's the icon that you would hit, and it's just not in notes yet. So I just don't think it's ready. It might be linked with some of the Apple Intelligence stuff that's coming later.
Okay.
In the year. Would be my assumption.
All right. Yeah, I don't see.
I definitely want to try it out and see how good it is.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So there's some fun stuff in there. I'm trying to see if there's anything else worth talking about. I don't really see anything. Have you had a chance to use the math notes yet in Calculator, or played around with it at all?
No, I have. I mean, I've had plenty of opportunity to do it. I just have chosen not to, because that's not a feature that I would ever use in my day-to-day life. And I remember what you said last episode about it, how it would be useful for you in your line of work. But it's just not a feature that I could legitimately ever think of using.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I haven't used it all that much either. So it's a cool feature. I enjoyed playing around with it a little bit, but I haven't really found
it might be something I let my kid play with, because she would find it fun, because she's going into second grade, and she at this point loves math, because Daddy, I'm really, really good at it. Yeah. And so I could see how that would be something that she would enjoy playing with. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Maybe this afternoon I'll see if she wants to try it out.
And neither one of us have it running on a Mac right now. The preview for Sequoia.
Correct.
I haven't. I think I might do the public beta, but it seemed a little bit sketchy to do the developer beta on that one. So I do see game mode pop up when I open games on my phone. And I think that it has to be opted in for it, or it has to be a certain kind of game. Because I'm still playing Golf Battle, and it pops up on that. It'll just come down from the top and say, "Oh, entering game mode" or whatever. So I don't know if that helps it run smoother, or there's a few different things, I think. Yeah, it cuts down on audio latency on AirPods. It makes the game controllers more responsive. Apple says the Bluetooth polling rate with wireless controllers is doubled for better in-game responsiveness. It's spent to kick up the frame rates. That might be why when I was playing Golf Battle the other day and it got a little glitchy. But I've only had that happen once, and I play that game every day. So, but yeah, so the betas are fun. Hold on. So in accessibility, there's an eye tracking option. It says eye tracking allows users to navigate through the iPhone and iPad interface with only their eyes. This feature uses AI and the front-facing camera to determine where the user is looking. It can be used to activate buttons, swipes, and other gestures. My guess is this is probably not in there yet.
Let's find out.
Because it looks like
accessibility.
That's an AI feature that might not be available yet.
No, eye tracking's here. Mine's set to off.
Oh,
I'm not going to turn it on.
I'm going to turn it on for fun. Hold on, you got to train it apparently. All right, it's trained. And it's not working very well. So to turn it off. Probably have to retrain it. But yeah, so it's I was trying to move stuff around. It works, not well. Like I said, I'm gonna have to probably retrain it because I probably didn't train it very well. And my glasses get in the way, I'm sure. So but anyway, it's in there. I haven't tried music haptics either yet. That's supposed to be pretty cool. There's a lot of talk about that.
No, I haven't heard about that at all.
Oh, yeah. It's supposed to buzz your phone to the beat of the music. It's for people who are hearing impaired.
Mm-hmm.
So, play a sample. Yeah, I can feel it. It's not super strong. It's pretty cool though. Anyway. So yeah, that is as much as we probably need to cover on the beta. Did you have anything that you think we left out?
No, I mean this all becomes more real once we have access to these new features and stuff with third-party apps. So
right. And
we'll hold out judgment until that's an option.
Sorry, I had to adjust my microphone. I was making noise over here. I think there's been a lot of conversation about Apple Intelligence, and you have opinions. I'll tell you that, I've listened to a lot of people talk about it, and as far as like the scraping the internet for all the information and the legalities behind it and possible like need for regulation on this stuff and whether or not it's whether or not you're stealing people's intellectual property to train this AI model. But I think the most notable person that's been out talking about it has been Federico Viticci. There's also John Voorhees, who he works with at Mac Stories, has drafted a letter that they're sending around to all the legislatures, or you know what I mean,
government folks, yeah.
To make them aware of the possible legal implications of AI. So what are your opinions about this?
Well, and the biggest, the reason that John and Federico are as pissed off as they are is because they found out, one, that Apple scraped the web just like all the other companies did. And that goes, against everything that Apple stands for and yada yada. It's like companies don't stand for things. The people that work there do. And Steve Jobs hasn't been there in a long, long time. And he's the one that made this huge, so it's the people that run that company that made that decision. And if that goes against what the founder of the company wanted, then it does. He's not here anymore.
Right.
So they're going to do what they're going to do now, regardless of what was said 15 years ago. But the bigger issue that they're getting mad about is this company, and I can't remember the name of it, was falsifying its user agent and ignoring websites that had the robots.txt file to say, don't scrape us. And so what they were doing was they were lying about what they actually were. So they said their user agent equals this, when really there was a second one. So the website's robot.txt would block the reported user agent, and then the second one would go through, ignore the robots.txt file that says, hey, you can't scrape us, and then scrape it anyways. Now that I can understand why they're upset, because this company is lying and then taking stuff that they're not allowed to take. which is completely unethical and shows zero regard for the open web and personal, people's right to say, hey, do not scrape this page. This is not yours to read. It's not yours to take. So to lie about it and to circumvent an established system to make your own AI model better is just super, super shady. And that's what they're writing. They wrote the open letter to the government folks about, was like, hey, there are standards and companies are circumventing those standards. And the future, if that's the case, looks bleak for folks that rely on, their content, their internet content for their living, because now that search engine can just say, oh yeah, don't even go to that website. We're just going to give you the answer you're looking for here. Right. So Mac Stories never gets the hits. They don't get the views. Their ad revenues go down. Like, you know what I mean? All that sort of. So they're stealing what Mac Stories and other websites like The Verge had a huge article on it. Like, this is how big it went. It went from, there's another guy named Rob Knight who is big into this, went from him to Mac Stories, back to him, and then The Verge took it and ran with it and did a huge test. And that's when it really blew up. So, like, this is how you know it's a big deal, when The Verge is writing and testing their websites and showing proof and data logs and all of this stuff about what's going on. Yeah.
No, and I think I want to say the name of the I may not be remembering this correctly, so don't sue me. But I think the name of the company was Perplexity.
Yeah, that sounds right.
That's a name that came to mind right away. So this is something that Google's been doing for a while, right? So if you go and you ask Google a question, it just gives you the answer on the search page instead of giving you a link to go to a website. So I do this a lot for work, where if there's a vehicle that somebody wants to purchase and they want to know what the tow capacity of the vehicle is, it's so much easier just to do a quick web search to pull up the tow capacity than it is to try and do all the math to figure it out. So, but it never sends me to a website. It just comes right up at the top of the page.
Yeah, it's those little answer boxes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as someone who has worked in search engine optimization for 2.5, 3 years, that is super frustrating, because we want you to come to the website and not, I have to get, just get the easy thing there. So, it's very annoying. It's useful for, in your case, like the end user who just wants the answer. Mm-hmm. It's frustrating from the website content creators or owners perspective, though. But I did just check it out. You're right. The company's name is Perplexity. That's doing the shady, non-good stuff.
So they talked about this a lot on ATP this last week, and I have not finished listening to the episode yet, but I've finished listening to the section they were talking about the robot TXT file. And the way they were talking about it, it made it sound like the robot TXT file is like a gentleman's agreement. That there's no like legal binding to this. There's no technical blocking going on. It's just saying, hey, we would really like it if you wouldn't do this on our website. And
yeah, to your gentleman's agreement is right, but it is the standard of the open web. Everyone just accepts. If the robots.txt file says don't scrape, we won't scrape. Mm-hmm. And so it isn't technically illegal what Perplexity is doing. It's just really shady and unethical.
Right.
So it's the law says I'm allowed to do this. Culture says I shouldn't. I'm going to do it anyways because, it's not illegal. And if it's not illegal and it helps you win, there are people out there that will cut those ethical corners to win.
Right.
Unfortunately. And until it becomes a legal thing, which it may never become, there's always going to be people on both sides of that argument.
Yeah. And I think if anything, it doesn't seem to me like the argument is really about Apple Intelligence doing bad things. It's more about, it's brought a lot of attention to the issues around AI, or what really is large language models and the building of large language models for machine learning. So it's not really so much that Apple Intelligence is the problem. It's just, I think that's when it hit the mainstream hard enough that it's now everybody's talking about it. Because this is something that, OpenAI has been doing for a while. Yeah. All of your
but only nerds care about that, right? Once the news cycle was like, oh, Apple's doing this, it's like they have enough cultural clout that normal people are now aware of what's going on, and not just tech nerds.
So perhaps this was going to happen regardless. I really kind of hate that Apple is, it's the unfortunate position that Apple is in as a tech giant, that they're the ones that are getting all the press for this, and at least that's the way it seemed to this point. But at least to common folk. So
yeah, and to clarify again, Apple isn't doing anything shady like Perplexity's doing. Yeah. Lying about their user agents, and like they're scraping the open web in a normal, the way that Google does it, the way that OpenAI does it, which is they're just going out there, they're scraping the data, they're acknowledging the robots.txt agreement. So if that says don't scrape, they're not scraping, just like Google. They're doing everything in a way that is normal for these models. The issue is that Steve Jobs 15 years ago, whatever it was, talked about, you can look up the video. I'm not like, I don't want to explain it, but this is something that diehard Apple fanboys and girls never expected Apple to do it, because Apple always does things according to, fanboys and girls the right way and differently and privacy first. And so they were very disappointed that Apple would do it. It's just like, okay, if you're disappointed by that, be disappointed by it. They didn't do anything wrong or unethical. And like I said earlier, if it goes against what Steve Jobs said 15 years ago, so be it. He's not there. The company's, different. Times are different, whatever. And people that are pissed off about it have every right to be pissed off about it. Mm-hmm. I'm more concerned with the Perplexity side of things, because that's what actually is not cool, in my opinion. But again, to your point, because it's Apple, it is now in mainstream news, and people are, I guess, getting exposed to a nerdier side of the internet and how this stuff is built and trained and all that sort of stuff.
The other part of this story is that the RIAA is now looking at legal action against websites like Suno and other music generating AI engines, because basically they've taken all the music and thrown it into their models, and they're claiming that they're using intellectual property to create AI music. And there have been situations where people have said, hey, I want a song like this in the style of this band, and it's pumped out something that sounds like pretty close to what the band has created themselves, all out of an AI generated large language model, or however you want to look at it. I'm not sure if that's technically a large language model, something like that. But dude,
that's wild.
How do you feel about that? I mean, you as a creator of music, you could have your music stolen and put into an engine like this, and then people could create music in your style that could compete with you.
Yeah. So that to me because writing on the internet is intellectual property, but you're not taking files, right? So like streaming services, like back in the day, we had, records, beta tapes, cassettes, CDs. Then we got to MP3s, but like you actually you owned the file. It was yours and you couldn't disseminate it. It was just for your personal use, right? But now with streaming services, I don't own any of my music anymore, except for my old MP3 library from when I was in, college that I actually purchased, right? So I want to know how they're getting the music in the first place, because they're certainly not purchasing the files, because that would cost billions of dollars, right? So that's theft, because it's something that you pay for, right? I'm not paying to read MacStories.net. I pay to be in Club MacStories, $5 a month, totally worth it, to support Federico and the whole team, and to get really good journalism and nerdiness about this stuff. But MacStories.net is free to read, so by adhering to their robots.txt file in the correct way, a company could scrape their free website, only the pages that they want you to. The difference, in my opinion, is if I scrape music from Apple Music, I'm stealing paid for things that I haven't paid for. Like if I was somehow getting Club MacStories newsletter for free, I'd be stealing from Federico and the team because I'm not paying for it. And so that's where I think the music thing is a little bit different, because it's a paid for product. And if they're somehow getting it without paying for it, then for sure shut them down. Yeah. But I don't know enough about how they're doing it to, come down on a definitive response. But like, the difference to me is free versus paid, and acknowledging like you said, the gentleman's agreement of the robots.txt file, which exists on the open web, does not exist in the world of music. That's always been a paid for product, always. So yeah, I'm going to have to look, because I didn't know that was even happening. So I'm going to have to check that out, because that's interesting.
Now, what if you just put a computer next to a radio, and you have a mic that learns, like it's able to learn that way? It's just coming over the radio. It's free to listen to, right? So it gets a lot of information from that.
But it's still copyright infringement, right?
Right.
Because you're recording something that you don't have the rights to record. Now, as
it's
a
not
kid,
recording anything. It's just learning from it. It doesn't have to record it.
Oh, it's definitely ingesting it for sure.
Like it's learning the way we would. It's noticing beats, it's noticing hooks, it's noticing things that it could do. But what if there was a way for it to listen that way? You can't
tell me it's not recording that stuff to have it as a resource, because it doesn't have a brain.
Yeah. Like you're right. You're right. I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit.
No, but that's where these companies live in this murky water. Well, we can argue, this because this is a new technology and it's not something we've ever had to legislate around before because it hasn't existed. And now, as always, technology outpaces the legislature because of bureaucracy and red tape and, all of that sort of stuff. And so we're just in that window right now of companies are going to do whatever they possibly can to get ahead and to win before laws are put in place and they can't do this stuff anymore.
Right.
So 100% we're in that spot where they're just going to, like perplexity, we're just going to do whatever we want because right now they can't hurt us.
Right.
And by the time they can, we'll have already built what we want to build for the most part. And that is where I understand the frustration of the people that are, their livelihood rests in what they create and put out for the public, right? And these companies are taking it in ways that are not cool. So, yeah, it's a fun time.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fair. I was playing devil's advocate a little bit, so, but from the standpoint of somebody, I mean, we made those justifications back in the day when we could just go to Napster or, whatever other, peer-to-peer sharing sites there were to get music from, but the way I look at it, and this is the way I look at it, at AI versus, I was trying to come up with this analogy because I know that there's been things in the past that I have done that were free and then realize, it's just better to pay for it because it's better quality, and it's, I'm getting what, like the high quality version of said thing, because I remember going to Napster and different peer-to-peer sharing sites to get music, and it was never great quality, because it was always, this was before we really massaged the whole music compression formats. So when you downloaded an MP3, it could sound like garbage. Like it might not sound very good at all, but we would listen to it because we got it for free, and it was fine. But then we realized, hey, you know what? If you actually pay for the CD, it sounds so much better. And it's like actually really good quality. And I almost wonder if that's what's going to come down to when it comes to AI versus actually listening. Let's say an AI produced song that sounds like the Black Crowes. And then you have the Black Crowes actual album. Is that, if you're listening to their actual album, it sounds good. It's really solid. You listen to the IAI version, and it's kind of like a bad, like, synthetic version of it. And so where I'm worried about this, the part of the industry that I'm actually worried about with all of this is the companies that make their money off of like royalty-free music. So music that you can download to put into commercials and put into different things that you can go into an AI generator and create whatever music you want and use that in an ad. And what's the legality of that?
Yeah, right now, nothing, but that's
because they're,
excuse me,
there's sites like Pond5 and other sites where you can, like, somebody created a piece of music that they give you the ability to use for commercial use, and you can do the same thing using an AI music generator.
Yeah, I have an annual subscription to Mood Sound Design for using in other podcasts, and then for all the video work that I've done, like weddings and events, and that, like, I use that for background music and soundtracks, but it's music made by real people. Yeah. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And the other thing I will throw in there too is like electronic, like EDM, right? That sort of music that doesn't have anyone singing generally, and is, I mean, people make it and they make a ton of money and people love it, but reproducing that, which is all synthetic, unless they're sampling analog stuff, versus, like you said, like the Black Crowes, which is like a blues rock band. That's all analog, and everything that they do, they record. I mean, they record digitally, but like they're acoustic drums, they're electric guitars and real amps. You know what I mean? It's harder to fake that stuff than to rip off someone's synthesizer. Yeah. Oh, man.
Good. This turned into a different, decent topic for today.
Good stuff. I didn't realize I had this many opinions about it.
Oh, I had faith in you. All right. Well, are we ready to talk about what's delighting us today?
Yes.
All right. What's delighting you today, Cam?
Okay, so I'm going to try and tell this the shortest way possible. I was at the local brewery does trivia every Tuesday nights, and I always have my daughter Tuesday nights, so I never get to go. But she went on vacation with her mom last week, and so I had a free Tuesday night, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go to trivia at the brewery. And I will say the place was packed, probably like 150 people in there. I went by myself and I finished fourth place. 2 points out of the prizes, which was third place. And the reason the 2 points matter so much is because one of the questions was John Tesh wrote the song Round Ball Rock as the theme for what sport? And it's the song that goes basketball, right? And so I, of course, got that right. And then in the music round, Oliver, the guy that runs the trivia there, played that song, and I put hardball rock and not round ball rock, so I lost 2 points. So had I put the right name down from the callback, I would have tied for third and gotten a gift card, which would have been super cool, and I would have felt even smarter than finishing fourth and beating a whole bunch of people at dumb trivia. So anyways, proof that our devices listen to us, I was on Instagram Reels the next day, and lo and behold, the SNL skit of Round Ball Rock came up on like the third reel, and I was like, what are the freaking chances? I haven't heard this song other than yesterday in like 5 years, and this skit just happens to be in my feed. But anyways, so I put the link in the show doc so that Mitch can watch it at his leisure. It's from like 2012 or 2013, back when, so it's Jason Sudeikis and a guy, I think his name is like Tim Robinson. I can't
And then
forget.
on Sunday, we
really
got the
funny.
Bulls and the Trailblazers.
Jason's
Jordan versus Drexler.
Okay, great.
Well, that'll
it's like
be a
5
great
minutes
matchup.
long.
Two world-class athletes.
Well, let's get to the music.
Excuse me, Mr. Lav.
Meanwhile, I'm blushing.
Then it just grew into something bigger than both of us could ever imagine.
Basketball, give me the ball because I'm
This has been living rent-free in my head for the last night.
basketball, give me the ball because I'm gonna dunk it. Basketball, give me.
That's pretty ridiculous. So we won't play the whole thing on the show, but there you go.
Yeah, so I've literally been walking around my house just going, basketball, give me the ball, because I'm gonna dunk it, yeah. Just, I cannot get it out of my head. Yeah. It's been today's Tuesday. It's been a full week.
Yeah.
And it's just stuck in my head, and it won't go away.
Very nice.
And another fun fact about that song, and then I'll shut up, is that John Tesh came up with a melody while he was like driving. And so he called his home phone from his cell phone, and I kid you not, goes, "Hey, it's me, John," to himself. Like, who else is calling? And then he just goes, "I came up with a melody." And then he just starts singing it into his voicemail. Which, you know, and he wrote it back in the 90s. This was like early 90s. So like, I don't even know. You know, he must have been like at a hotel or like, because he didn't have a cell phone. So he must have been somewhere and borrowed a phone, and then called his house and left the voicemail so he wouldn't forget the melody. Yeah, like that is wild. Yeah. And the fact that he said, "Hey, it's me, John." Like, it's like something my dad would do. "Hey, it's me. It's me." Like, of course it's you. Anyways. Yeah. So yeah. That's that. It's funny. It won't get out of my head. And if that happens to you, I'm not sorry.
All right. Well, my pick for what's delighting me today is we finished the show Dark Matter last week on Apple TV, which was this is not nearly so funny as what you had. It's actually kind of dark. But Dark Matter is, have we talked about it on the show before? I'm trying to remember if we talked about it last time.
If we have, I have forgotten everything about it.
It was just briefly. But this show ended up to be so good. Highly recommended. It's probably not perfect, but we really enjoyed the show. And it pits a guy who made a choice years ago not to pursue a life in science, but rather to marry this woman, start a family, and put that first. And what this show becomes is a guy in an alternate universe that was created by this decision. Actually creates a box that allows him to travel between realities, and comes and takes over this guy's life. And that is as much as I'm going to say about it, because there's lots of twists and turns and weird stuff that happens, and the final couple episodes just pay it off really well. And so I highly recommend this show. It does get a little bloody in spots, so it's not something to watch with the kids. But it is a very, very good show, very interesting, kind of a little bit of a brain bender, but it's very, very satisfying in the end. So,
oh, and it's the ever rare 9 episode season as opposed to 8 or 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the purpose of the 9 episodes was, but it concludes in the 9th episode in a way that, I mean, it almost works in like a three episode arc, like three episode arcs, but but it's really interesting how they walk through this whole storyline of him like trying to figure out what's going on, trying to figure out how to get back to his original reality. And then there's this huge twist at the end that it just is like, you just don't understand how things are going to turn out good out of all of this. So it's really interesting. Highly recommended.
All right.
And like I said, I don't want to give away too much because it would ruin the show. But it's very, very good. The information that I gave you pretty much is what they give you in the first episode of the show. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, so check it out. And I will ask you, have you been watching The Acolyte?
Yeah, I'm caught up.
Okay.
Obviously, the new episode drops tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm all caught up.
How many episodes are we in? About 6?
Yeah, and it's only an 8-episode season, which is so hard for me to imagine how they're going to get. Yeah.
Yeah. There's been a lot of theories out there about where this is going, but I think it started pretty slow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So slow.
It's how they finish this and wrap this up is going to have 100% to do with how I feel about this season.
Oh, absolutely.
It's right now the storyline feels like it's missing something. Like there's something,
any sort of emotional connection to any of the characters.
Right.
I don't even know half of their names.
Mm-hmm.
That's how uninvested I am in the show. Like the only people's names I know are Saul, Osha. See, I even got it wrong. And May.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember any of the Jedis that died. Can't remember any of their names.
Mm-hmm. Spoiler alert.
Carrie Ann Moss's character, don't know her name.
Mm-hmm.
The main bad guy, don't know his name.
Yeah.
And he's the main bad guy. No idea what his name is.
There's some debate about that. There's debate about whether or not there's another one behind the scenes. That is.
But I'm talking about the one that is presented currently on the show with the cool helmet that somehow knocks lightsabers out for 30 seconds. That also spoiler alert. If you haven't watched, stop now. Also happened to be the bumbling idiot sidekick to May. That was like, okay, that was the one part I was like, okay, that's one thing in the show that's been neat was that twist. But other than that, I'm just like, and then like when he killed all those Jedis, we were supposed to care. Didn't care whatsoever. Wasn't invested in any of them.
I was a little surprised by it. You know, I wanted to like those characters.
They were so boring.
Yeah.
And not good actors either.
And
maybe that was just because they were given what they were given and their dialogue was bad.
Yeah.
And dry. The good thing I will say about the show is the fight scenes are awesome.
Yeah.
They're so well done. And the places that they're filming this stuff are incredible. So like my issues are plot driven, not anything else.
Right. I would 100% agree with you. Like this is a good kung fu movie, you know, quality fight scenes. No, that's what it is though.
Yeah.
You know, it's a you know, kung fu theater style done well, you know, not cheesy, although there might be some things you might say are cheesy, but it's done very well. And I think leading the show off with Carrie Ann Moss and May, having one of the first big fight scenes in the show was perfect to set the tone for that, because it was absolute good, you know, kung fu style fighting. And it's gone on to be really good because, the Sith, character, his name's on the back of my tongue and I can't get it out, but his fighting style was so unique and so good, that it was a joy to watch him, just the way he moves, you know, and the way he fights. Kind of sucks to watch him kill a bunch of people, but but it was enjoyable to watch him fight. So.
Well, yeah, and if there is one person in the show who's acting I actually do appreciate, it's his, because he was like the goofy, bumbling, you know, sidekick. And then once you found out that he was actually the guy behind the mask, he became brooding and dark, but also like introspective and philosophical in a certain way. And so to see him transition from one personality to the other is like, oh, okay, this guy is not so bad. As some of the other folks. A
lot of the rest of them feel very wooden, like very one-dimensional. There's no real story arc with any of them. You know,
even like they keep teasing at stuff with Saul.
Even Osha and May just don't like that. No, that actress like, just doesn't show a whole lot of story arc. Yeah, you know, I would love to see more out of Soul. Because Soul has something to like emote, like he has something.
Well, they keep teasing at it, and they keep teasing at it, and it's just like, okay, I'm done with you teasing. Either tell me, like, you know, crap, or get off the pot. Like, you've been dragging this out for so long.
He started a little bit broody and introspective, and he just got more broody and introspective, and that's just, you know, now he just wants to cry a little bit more than he did before. And so it's just, there hasn't been much of a character development with him. So,
yeah. And I'm trying to decide if I want to keep talking about this or just move on. There have been multiple things in the storyline where I'm just like, that makes no sense. Like when May chops her hair off with a lightsaber, it's somehow the exact length of Osha's, and it also isn't singed. Like, she's burned her hair. How would Soul not notice that? Or how does a 10-year-old girl kill an entire coven of force-wielding witches by herself? Like, that makes no sense. Unless Soul killed them all, and that's his deep, dark secret.
Yeah. No, so,
I
think that
I just want Andor back. That's essentially what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and I think that I'll be honest with you. I think that the director and a lot of the people that are involved in the show are just. I think there's a level of incompetence that's happening right now that is just is shown in the media. You know, in the way that they've promoted this film or this series. It's shown a little bit in the way that they're doing the show. You know, it's just, it's a level of incompetence that it's like, come on, guys, Star Wars can be better than this. And I'm ultimately, you know, if this show ends this way, you know, without any kind of big reveal or big twist at the end, or gosh, I'm going to tell you what I want to see. Is I want to see Darth Revan or Darth Plagueis by the end of this, you know, as the puppet master, because this Sith character that we have cannot be the master because he's looking for an acolyte. And what that means is that he's looking for someone to team up with to be his apprentice so that he can kill his master. And so that there's a master involved here. There needs to be, and there has to be a reveal. I think tonight, to be honest with you, being episode 7, I think there has to be a reveal tonight that there's somebody else behind the curtain. And if they do that and they do it well, they could save this whole series. But if this series just ends with them trying to chase down, you know, Osha's with the Sith guy, Maze with Soul, which I think Soul knows that now, which is a good thing.
Yeah, he had her buckled up or shackled up.
Oh, that's right.
Last episode.
Yeah, so he knows that for sure now. I think he
that's the other thing too.
I think he suspected that before, but I think he was so caught up in his own grief that he didn't want to believe it.
Okay, so that brings up the other big thing that I was annoyed with, and then I thought maybe I'm missing information. Are Jedis and Siths able to mask the fact that they are force sensitive? Because they can tell when people are force sensitive just by being in their presence, right? Because how would they not have known that he was not even just a force wielder, but a really, really, really powerful one when he was the little sidekick?
Mm-hmm. Well,
and wouldn't he be able to know that May is May and not Osha just by feeling her presence?
The short answer is yes. They can mask their.
Okay, then I'm less upset about that than I was last week.
It's something that is way more common amongst Sith to do that, because the Sith want to hide from the Jedi. So it does actually make sense. So I didn't have a problem with that, but
okay.
Yeah, but
that was just me having a gap in my Star Wars knowledge.
But there's some novels that deal with the Jedi masking themselves from a Sith or from a Dark Force wielder, and as well. But it's less common than it is for the Sith. I mean, we didn't know Palpatine was the
and that was the one argument I made against myself was Senator Palpatine. Yeah, fooled everybody.
But they kind of were picking up on it, even in the prequels, that there was something going on, that they could feel that their connection to the Force was affected by it. So, gotcha. But they couldn't tell it was Palpatine.
Yeah. All right then, big reveal. Oh, the other thing, and I know we're getting kind of long here.
Oh, it's fine.
When Osha sees the scar on the Sith guy's back, and he mentions that he got it a long time ago, a really, really long time ago, meaning he looks like he's in his 20s, but he's probably super old, right? Mm-hmm. That's the theory.
I haven't heard.
Can extend their.
I haven't heard that theory, but it's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah, that he can somehow slow his aging or whatever because his force.
Well, within the Sith, there is a belief, at least that's not a common practice, but there is a belief that you can transfer your essence from one body to another. So the that's kind of what happens with Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker. That's not the original Palpatine. That's a clone of the original Palpatine, and at least that's what the book bears out. So they have basically transferred his essence from one body to another, to keep him alive. It's just a clone body, and they were working on that in Tantus years earlier than that. So if you watch The Bad Batch, where they're dealing with the clone facility in Mount Tantus, stuff like that all continues through past Return of the Jedi, and they're working on cloning. What they're doing is they're working on cloning Jedi. They're working on cloning Force wielders, which has been a problem. They haven't been able to clone something that has the ability to wield the Force, and that's what they were working on. And outside of canon, there's a lot of talk about that. So, like the original Thrawn trilogy, there's Jedi Master Sabaoth, which is a cloned Force wielder, and they find him on Wayland, and where he's by Mount Tantus when they meet him. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff that's happening behind the scenes. And it hasn't really been pulled out in canon very strongly, but they're definitely been working. You can see it as an undercurrent on a lot of the newer shows. And that's why they wanted Grogu in The Mandalorian, is because he has a very high M count. And so they're trying to use that, as well as Omega in the Bad Batch. They're trying to use these individuals with higher M counts or metachlorian counts to try and clone Force wielders. So anyway, I'm going to stop now. My nerd's showing.
Too late.
So anyway, you got anything else for us today?
Nope. I'm opinioned out, I think, at this point.
All right. Perfect. All right. So if you do want to check out more about us, check out our back catalog. As always, you can head to innerdialogue.show. And if you want to know more about me, it's mitchcraig.online. Cam, where can people find you?
CamBrennan.com.
Perfect. All right. Well, we'll see you hopefully back here in a couple of weeks. Cam, it's been fun.
It has.
All right. Later, sir.
Bye.